In this lesson, we're going to be studying the Galilean ministry of Jesus Christ, and this is going to be the first part of his Galilean ministry. We want to begin with his return to Cana. And the first place that Jesus visited upon his return to Galilee was Cana. Of course, his earlier visit to this small village was on the occasion of the wedding feast, shortly after his baptism and the 40 days of temptation in the wilderness. And it was at that marriage celebration that Jesus performed his first miracle, turning water into wine. And this second visit occurred more than a year later. Jesus initiated his work of healing in Cana. A nobleman, perhaps an officer in the service of Herod Antipas, had a little boy in Capernaum who had been wasting away with a continuous fever. He was very, very sick. He heard that Jesus had returned to Galilee from Judea, and in his desperation, he came to Jesus begging him to go and heal his son. At first, Jesus refused the nobleman, saying, "Except ye see signs and wonders, you will not believe." The nobleman again put forth his agonizing cry, "Sir, come down, or else my child is going to die." His appeal showed that he was not merely seeking a sign, and the sorrow in his heart compelled him to humble himself before his only source of hope. And such a prayer never meets with refusal when offered to Jesus. And so Jesus responded, "Go your way, your son lives." And the words of Jesus were enough. The man turned and retraced his steps to Capernaum. And as he arrived home the next day, a joyous servant met him, stating, "Your son is alive." The father then asked when the child began to improve, and the response came, "Yesterday at the 7th hour, the fever left him." And what's so great about this is that this was the same hour that Jesus had said that the child would live. As a result, the nobleman and his household believed in Jesus, and many lives were changed. After preaching for some time in various places in Galilee, Jesus came to his hometown of Nazareth, where he would be rejected. He entered the synagogue, and in keeping with the custom of the synagogue service, Jesus stood to read the scriptures. He then opened the book to the prophets, and he began reading from Isaiah. "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to captives, recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord." Then, with all eyes fastened upon him, Jesus sat down to teach in the role of a rabbi. And with clarity and simplicity, he stated, "This day is the scripture fulfilled in your ears." The people who witnessed this wondered at his teaching. You see, to him, he was just the son of a carpenter. How does he dare proclaim himself to be the Messiah, they thought. If he is who he claims to be, then let him prove it with signs and wonders. Striking out at their self-righteousness and Jewish conceit, Jesus pointed out that God in his sovereignty had chosen in times past to bless Gentiles while bypassing unbelieving Jews. He cited two examples, and then the people's rage generated by these statements identified them with the apostate, unbelieving Israel, and they sought to kill him. They decided they were going to crowd him out of the synagogue and down the street until he'd be forced off of a 40-foot cliff at the edge of the city. After all, if he died of natural means, like falling off of a cliff, then they would be free from the guilt of murder. Jesus, however, miraculously passed through the midst of them, and he went on his way.